here on KTN Sunday Night Live. Well, the education sector, it's entirely in paralysis as we begin a new week.
Absolutely. We've got teachers all the way from primary right to through to university lecturers who've downed their tools. Certainly a very worrying situation, even as a cabinet subcommittee prepares to get down to work and find a viable return to work formula for our teachers and doctors who are also on strike. Well, we're so glad you can make time to join us this Sunday evening. I am Ann Kiguta.
And I'm Eric Latif. Let's take a look at what's coming up in this bulletin.
It's all systems go for Ndiwa, Kangema and Kajiado North by-elections.
The going on strike is legal and will continue until the lawful demands are negotiated and implemented.
Lecturers talk tough as Kenyans face another week of strikes.
Authorities on the spot as Karen's residents choke in sewer stench.
And the KTN Crime Series Case Files makes a return. Today, the kidnapper pays for his sins.
Battle of the Titans indeed. Tomorrow, voters in Kajiado North, Ndiwa and Kangema constituencies will be electing new members of parliament in the last by-election before the general election. Kajiado North, which has been represented in parliament for 24 years by the late Professor George Saitoti, has attracted 10 aspirants. Well, for the latest, now let's link up with our senior reporter, Aaron Ocheng. He is already in Ngong, Kajiado North. Aaron, good evening. It must have been a very busy day there as poll officials get ready for tomorrow's ballot.
Thank you very much, Ann Kiguta. We are on the hills of Ngong town. It's a very chilly and breezy evening here in Ngong in Ololesa High School in Kajiado North constituency. This will be the tallying center for all the votes that will be voted in Kajiado North will be announced here. This is where the winner of the seat of the Kajiado North will be announced. Earlier in the day, IEBC Chairman Isaac Hassan was here together with the CEO James Oswago and also the returning officer Naisea Tobiko. They were all here to assure people of Kajiado North of the preparedness of the IEBC to handle this election. Of course, 10 aspirants are vying for this seat. That's a record number from all the political parties. Most of the political parties are represented in this by-election. Today was no campaign day as campaigns were closed last evening, and all the aspirants adhered to that rule, and no one was campaigning this evening. But we went around just to check on what IEBC preparedness is, and we filed the following report earlier in the day. After the conclusion of campaigns by all the 10 aspirants for the Kajiado North by-election, attention now shifts to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to conduct free and fair elections and announce the new Member of Parliament for Kajiado North.
There is any question?
IEBC Chairman Isaac Hassan was here at Ololesa High School in Ngong, together with other IEBC officials, to guarantee all preparations are complete.
All systems have been set to ensure a free and fair electoral process. Polling stations will be opened from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Kajiado North is constituency, on the other hand, has the highest number of aspirants, with 10 candidates having been nominated by various political parties to vie in the by-elections.
A total of 118,854 persons are registered voters in Kajiado North, and 117 polling stations will be open to voters. Naisea Tobiko is the returning officer here, and she commended all the 10 aspirants for conducting peaceful campaigns.
We applaud the candidates, and we just call upon them to really try and talk to the electorate, and we make this special call to the electorate as a commission to turn up in large numbers to vote for the person of their choice. Our appeal to the electorate is do not allow anyone to mislead you. Do not allow anyone to direct you as to who you will vote for. Vote for the person of your choice.
Security has been assured, and this afternoon presiding officers and their clerks were picking ballot papers to the various polling stations. A total of 38 international and 489 domestic observers will be monitoring the by-elections in the 3 constituencies of Ndiwa, Kangema and Kajiado North.
Provisional results will be transmitted live electronically from polling stations to tallying centers at the constituency level and to a national observation center to be set up at the Leland Towers, Nairobi Safari Club from 5 p.m. on the election day.
Kajiado North has been represented in Parliament for the last 24 years by the late Professor George Saitoti. Of course, as that report has said, this constituency has been represented in Parliament by the late Professor George Saitoti for 24 years. It will be a test. It will be a testing waters for all the aspirants, just to see if any one of them has what George Saitoti had to rule or to represent this constituency for the last 24 years. Big political parties have been here, the likes of ODM, TNA, the Wiper Democratic Party, and also Salim Davadi's UDF party. They have all been campaigning here with their candidates, and whoever will take it, it will be a significant addition to the numbers that they already have in Parliament. Of course, Professor Saitoti's legacy is also here, and people will be looking to see who will be able to fit into Professor Saitoti's shoe. We will be here live from around 6 o'clock when all polling stations will be open. KTN will be keeping you up to date with what is happening, so keep it KTN. Of course, this by-election is also happening in Ndiwa constituency and also in Kangema constituency. And my colleague Sam Ogina is in Kangema constituency, where he's been camping the whole of today. Sam Ogina, please go ahead with what is happening in Kangema.
The hour is nigh for the Kangema by-elections. It is all systems go as polling officers are being deployed to their various polling stations under heavy security guard carrying voting materials. Now it is about 5 p.m. here, and we are being told the farthest polling station is about 27 kilometers from this place, which is the tallying center. Now that means it is about 45 minutes from Muguru ACK Church, which is the official tallying center for Kangema. IEBC says it's all systems go for the Monday by-election here in Kangema. The electoral manager said the poll clerks and returning officers have been well trained for the Monday task. Kangema constituency has over 37,000 registered voters and 47 polling stations that have been divided into 47 voting streams to ease the voting exercise. Polling stations open at 6 in the morning and close by 5 in the evening.
Fikia sasa tumeweka mikakati yote na tumemalizia kupanga vitu zote. Sasa tunataka kuwatuma wafanyikazi wenye watatusaidia kwa hiyo by election kesho, waende saa hii, watakaa kwa vituo zao mpaka kesho, watakuwa na askari wenye watawalinda pia. Ndio kesho asubuhi na mapema waamkie kazi ya kupigisha kura.
Japa Mtungai, ingia hapa.
Heavy security was deployed to keep vigil and guard the ballot boxes to avoid any tampering. Officers from the administration police and regular police have been sourced for the task.
Nimetoa security kutoka county yote na beyond county ya Murang'a. Kuna security wametoka kutoka hata Kiambu county, na hii constituency itakuwa imejaa security hata wa kupatrol.
Meanwhile, some of the candidates sought divine intervention ahead of the poll. TNA aspirant Tyrus Ngahu attended a Sunday service at ACK Muruguru Church, which doubles up as Kangema tallying center. And on the eve of the elections, claims of rigging were flying high. PNE accusing one of their competitors of plotting to rig the elections, but the claims have been dismissed both by TNA and the electoral managers. IEBC says no party has lodged a complaint to the effect of the rigging plans.
Hata mimi mwenyewe nafanya juu chini, nimetia juhudi zangu zote nione hii by election imekuwa mfano mwema, na ndio ile hata ile uchaguzi nyingine yenye tunaenda ikue ni experience mzuri.
The battle for the Kangema seat pits TNA Tyrus Ngahu, Kimani Mugo of President Kibaki's PNU, Simon Kamau of UDF, John Githogo of Kenya Solidarity, Muturi Kigano of Sabasaba Asili, and Junguna Mwangi of Mzalendo Sabasaba. It is a mini poll banked by leading presidential aspirants Uhuru Kenyatta, Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi as a measurement gauge for their popularity in central Kenya. Well, on Monday, the people of Kangema decide it will be a critical vote that will elect a man who will try to fit into the shoes of the late Mishuki, who has reigned Kangema politics for over 20 years. Samogina, KTN in Kangema constituency, Murang'a County.
And from Murang'a to another must-watch by-election, the Evoque constituency is at the crossroads. For the first time in almost 2 decades, residents of the expansive electoral unit are about to elect a new person to represent them in Parliament. Joining us now is Nyanza reporter Fred Omulo with the twists and turns of this by-election. Fred, good evening. Bring us the very latest.
The Evoque constituency is at a crossroads. For the first time in almost 2 decades, 48,616 registered voters trooped to the polling stations to find a replacement for the departed Assistant Minister, the late Orwa Ojode. The campaigns for these by-elections have been quite intense, with Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta visiting the constituency on Tuesday. Acting KANU Chairman Gideon Moi came here on Thursday, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga was here yesterday, drumming up support for the ODM candidate. It is expected that voting will begin tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to end at 5 p.m., with provisional results expected to come in by 8 p.m. and the official results to come in thereafter. The tallying center is at Ndiwa District. The tallying center is at Ndiwa District headquarters, and 140 polling stations will be opened for all these voters to come in. Home to approximately 400,000 Kenyans, Ndiwa is geographically the landlocked heart of Homa Bay County. The death of its former MP Orwa Ojode has triggered a political scramble to replace him, whose results will echo across the country, with ODM, TNA and KANU evenly matched in the contest.
Basically, we're going to start where he left. I mean, the foundation he left is pretty intact, and that's what we are going to do with all leaders of Ndiwa. Yeah, it's an inclusive leadership. Yeah, even with the dissenting voices.
First is to reconstruct the whole place. One, have a strategic plan, and one of the things we've done is we've agreed on uniting the people of Ndiwa.
Sasa nitajaribu juu chini. Wamama wenzangu wanaumia sababu ya hospitali iko mbali. Sasa hapo pia nitajaribu kabisa hata kama muda ni kidogo.
In recent times, Ndiwa has witnessed a dramatic economic transformation with the introduction of commercial sugarcane farming through Sukari Industries, a project spearheaded by the late Ojode. The constituency has also experienced tremendous growth in education and health, though poor infrastructure and clanism still blight its social status.
Because one of the things that he did is he balkanized the constituency in a way that was not very good for the constituency. One, he balkanized people into clans.
Sukari Industries, you see now, is going on. Infrastructure we must complete, because there's no infrastructure is what spurs growth. So there's no need of having schools which have no roads going into. Yeah.
Okay. Sunday, electoral officials were finalizing preparations for the mini polls, with balloting material already delivered to the tallying center located at the Ndiwa district headquarters. Observers of foreign missions and other stakeholders also arrived.
We took competent officers whom we feel they are going to deliver a very, very great poll. And apart from those officers we recruited locally, we have coordinators from all over the country. We have 44 coordinators from all over the country who are with us here, and they have been deployed as presiding officers in some stations.
But in a media briefing, TNA and KANU accused another candidate of planning to employ violence in the poll.
The intel we are getting is that these people will be spread in the night across our strongholds. So we are putting them on alert that anybody who is going to disrupt peaceful election is committing a serious election offense, and this will not be tolerated.
Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta comes and tells these people, if you do not elect this person on TNA, then my grand march probably would not have begun well. The other person comes and says, if you do not elect my person, then I will not run for president. The two are totally different, and they are intended and do achieve totally different results. In other words, I'm blackmailing you.
With an envious development track record, the late Orwa Ojode has left a legacy that will be a tough act to follow for whoever replaces him. there has been a heavy deployment of security officers across the whole constituency. There are a total of 330 police officers are here. Each polling station will have 2 police officers armed to the teeth. This brings the total to about 280. The other 20 will cordon off the tallying center, with about 30 will be roaming the whole constituency to ensure that all the hotspots do not produce any trouble. May the best person win.
Absolutely, may the best person win. Thank you so much, Fred Omulo reporting for us there. Fred, Samugina and Aaron Echeng, our ears and eyes on the ground tomorrow as we kick off in earnest by-election coverage starting 6 a.m. right here on KTN. You do want to keep it here for that by-election news.
Well, indeed, keep it right here tomorrow. Now, some news coming in from the area of Nyanza is that Maranda High School, some 2 dormitories are on fire in Maranda High School and some students have been evacuated. We do not have details of whether there have been any casualties there, but what we know so far is that some 2 dormitories at Maranda High School are on fire. Students have been evacuated. You will remember Maranda High School is a school that has performed very well, exceptionally well in the last 2 examinations. Now 2 dormitories are on fire. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we get more details. Let's move over to Tana River, where as calm returns the Tana Delta following the deployment of additional General Service Unit officers in the area, it's emerging that efforts must now be directed at handling the looming humanitarian crisis. Thousands of families that are fleeing the clashes are living in squalor and are in dire need of food, clothing and shelter. This as the GSU continue to impose a dusk to dawn curfew in the entire region. Here is KTN's Angel Katica with an update from the Tana Delta.
6 p.m. Garsen in Tana River Delta. Life stops for residents here as the almost 2,000 GSU officers deployed after deadly clashes killed over 100 people take to the streets of the town and other shopping centers in the area to impose the dusk to dawn curfew in the whole Tana Delta. The night falls for residents here, but the GSU is eyes open, ensuring residents of safety. The government sent GSU to Tana Delta after clashes hit the area, claiming dozens of lives, including those of the few policemen earlier deployed here before the latest reinforcement. The additional police are expected to hunt for the said militia that has caused trouble in the Delta region. But even as the GSU asserts its presence and as relative calm slowly returns into Tana Delta, the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis here is evident. For instance, these young ones caught up in a crisis they had nothing to do with. They now eat from the sufurias, if at all any food will be available. Sleeping on the cold, their parents not able to offer the warmth. Food and water are hardly to find in these camps. Relief food is too little for the estimated 10,000 displaced persons, many times eliciting a scramble for the rations. Food aside, tension is high among residents of host communities where majority of the displaced persons are fleeing to in fear attacks could be extended to them.
Kumekuwa na labda hofu kwa wenyeji wakiona kama hiyo vita tavuka pande hizi. Lakini tumeanza mikakati ya kufanya mikutano na wenyeji.
Red Cross Society has launched an exercise to identify among the displaced persons candidates who are set to sit for examinations at the end of the year to ensure they will not be locked out.
Kwa jukumu letu kama Red Cross Society tukishirikiana na washirika wadau wengine ni kwamba kuweza kuwatambua kwanza ambao wanatakana wafanye mtihani. Halafu tusaidiane na Wizara ya Elimu tujue hawa watu wataweza kufanya mtihani wakiwa wapi.
During a joint prayer meeting by Muslims and Christians in the area, Garsen Member of Parliament, who was accompanied by presidential aspirant Mother Karua, called on residents to embrace a peaceful coexistence even as GSU takes charge.
Ninataka mujipe moyo kwa sababu hakuna delta ingine tutaenda, hakuna nchi ingine tutaenda.
The cabinet last week directed that a judicial commission of inquiry to be headed by a judge to expeditiously spearhead investigations into the Tana killings and report within 30 days. Already suspended Livestock Assistant Minister Dado Godana has been charged in court in relation to the Tana conflict. Angel Katica, KTN, Sunday night.
Well, let's wait for a speedy formation of that judicial commission, and also kudos to the Kenya Red Cross for all the good work that they're doing down there. Of course, if you'd like to help, you can always help through the Kenya Red Cross. Let's move on to some news of irony. Permanent secretaries have been granted a raise of up to 75,000 shillings each. This amounts to not less than 3.2 million shillings in total. The move has enraged teachers, lecturers, public university staff and doctors who've been on strike for the past 2 weeks, demanding better pay and working conditions. This latest move by the government could mean another week of the impasse between the government and striking workers, despite the formation of an ad hoc cabinet committee that is mandated to look into the demands of striking workers and negotiate an applicable return to work formula.
That the going on strike is legal and will continue until the lawful demands are negotiated and implemented.
No lecturer is going to go back to the lecture theater tomorrow. No administrators and the rest of the staff are going to go back to work tomorrow.
University Academic Staff Union and the University Non-Teaching National Staff Union representatives did not mince their words as they reaffirmed that the ongoing strike will spill over into a third week, rubbishing a court order that was issued against the union leaders by the government in a bid to end the ongoing public university employees' strike.
The alleged court orders that have been served are illegal because they were based on lies and misinformation perpetrated by the universities.
We are more than willing to sit and negotiate. Threats, court orders, directives, circulars, name them, are not the ones that are going to give an amicable solution.
Last week, Cabinet set up an ad hoc committee consisting of the Ministers of Labour, Education, Higher Education, Medical Services, Finance and the Attorney General to address the matter. Speaking during a church service in Machakos, the Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka seems optimistic that the current strike situation will be resolved by this committee on Monday.
Tunaweza basi tukaanzisha cycle ya kuleta instability in the country. Kwa hivyo lazima tuwe na uzalendo wa hali ya juu sana. Kama kuna pesa na walimu wanahitaji hizo, serikali haiwezi kuwanyima.
However, the fact that government permanent secretaries have received an increase of 75,000 shillings in terms of domestic, house and entertainment allowances, it seems the striking university employees are even more adamant to get their way.
Now, there's no money for teachers. There's money to pay some sector of the civil service, the civil servants, but there's no money to pay teachers.
Walimu wetu wamegoma, watoto hawasomi. Watoto wale wanaenda kwa shule za binafsi, wanaendelea kusoma. Mtihani ukifika, huyu mtoto mwenye hajasoma sasa atafanya ule mtihani na yule ambaye sasa ako klasi anasoma.
The education sector has been greatly affected by the ongoing teachers' strike and university employees' strike. The government has attempted to claim that both strikes are illegal with court orders. The health sector too is facing a dire situation as doctors join registrars in their nationwide strike, demanding that they be paid call and extraneous allowances. Negotiations between doctors and the Ministry of Medical Services seems to have failed. The Minister for Medical Services, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, issued a statement to newsrooms claiming that the ministry has filed a court order with the industrial court, barring doctors from going on strike. Solidarity forever. Further directing all doctors to resume their duties, claiming that the industrial court will take up arbitration on the 17th of September. All those who defy the directive will be dismissed. The statement further noted that all medical superintendents should take a roll call of those who show up or don't show up for work come Monday morning. Catherine Omwanto, KTN.
Well, it has been a long week for Ochieng Ongonga, the former KTB managing director who was sentenced to 3 years in prison for committing fraud while in office. Well, after the court's ruling, Ongonga was immediately taken to the Nairobi remand to commence his sentence. Well, KTN visited the former tourism boss during a prison open day and found out how he's been faring in his first week behind bars.
When dawn breaks, one family after the other make their way into the Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison. It's a special day set aside by the prison when prisoners will have an opportunity to spend the day with their family and friends.
As the families get the necessary clearance, the excitement inside is already evident. Some are merely satisfied with the music. All prisoners get to enjoy this day. No one is left behind. Hundreds of unfamiliar faces, but if you look closely, you may just notice a familiar face. Yes, this is Ochieng Ongonga, former Kenya Tourist Board Managing Director. It's been hardly a week since Ongonga was sentenced to 3 years in prison for committing fraud, but he has already blended into the prison system.
Today I'm very happy that I'm with my sister. My sister's here, my mom, and it's such a wonderful day, and I think this is one of the reforms that has taken place in the prisons industry.
Umeingia na furaha, tumekuta yeye pia akona mwili kawaida, tu kuona kama amechoka sana bila jela ya zamani.
So for a man who enjoyed a flourishing career in tourism, working besides the creme de la creme of this country and living a luxurious life with the opportunity to travel to all top tourist destinations, how is prison life treating him so far?
From what I've seen, there's a certain level of cleanliness in the place. We are given blankets, we are given reasonable food, we're allowed visitors, we mix very well, and one thing that is quite amazing is that the prison staff are very friendly.
And what about the court's decision?
I don't want to discuss my case. That is not an area I should go into, but whatever will happen, will happen. I'm here, I'm alive and kicking. I did my best to serve this country.
As Ongonga strives to complete his 3-year term, his case goes down in the books of history as the judiciary stamp in transforming how the law is perceived in Kenya. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Sunday Night Live.
As the saying goes, health is wealth. Now, for the residents of Karen Brooks, a part of this wealth has been deprived of them with the delay in finding a solution to the overflowing sewer that has seen some residents relocate to other suburbs. With this, KTN's Joy Doreen Bira, in part 2 of Karen Cry of the Rich, sought for answers from the authorities, among them NEMA and the Athi Water Services Board, on whether they know about the state of the sewer pond and why up until today nothing has been done to correct this shameful environment.
A second visit to the Karen Brooks environs, we found out that the sewage dam overflows into River Mukoyet, which flows into the Mamba Lake at the Nairobi Mamba village that stretches through to the Nairobi National Park. Now, this could have been neglected but poses a great environmental hazard to the environs of Karen Brooks. The Karen Sewer Dam, whose design capacity has reached an overload, spills into River Mukoyet that flows through Karen, which is a source of Nairobi's Mamba Lake in the same suburb. The man-made lake that prides in breeding aquatic life soon might not be the best place to spend leisure time.
The sewage at the Karen Brooks has really affected our lake at Nairobi Mamba village and downstream because we have aquatic life, the fish living in the lake. Also, our lake, we use it for sport activities. And at the moment, there is a stink smell coming from the lake, and people can't enjoy having the boat rides and the water bites.
The residents of Karen Brooks are disappointed that authorities have not bothered to take action after all the stakeholder meetings held before 2007 as well as in May 2010. All efforts have been fruitless.
The stench has affected us for the last over 10 years. Yeah, and we seem like since we are living in our own house, seem like we don't seem to have a choice. But those who have a choice, there are some people who may have moved because of the stench.
We have put up residential properties of very high value. I think when somebody is breathing that kind of air, will be definitely affected health-wise.
While environmental and health risks are posed with this overflow of the sewer, for the Karen residents, getting rid of the stench should be the immediate solution. As these residents allege, it's been years and nothing has been done. So are Athi Water Services Board, Nairobi City Water and Sewage Company, Nairobi City Council and National Environment Management Authority aware of this deplorable situation?
Yes, we are aware of the problem at Karen Brooks. Yes, the minutes were sent here.
Currently, it is overloaded, and it cannot be able to cope with the amount of the effluent or the discharge that are getting into the port.
As NEMA, where this problem of the sewage treatment plant was brought to us way back in 2010.
Aware of the problem, know it's overloaded and also admit to receiving complaints from the residents. Where is the solution?
It seems the long-term issues have not yet been tackled, and that's why the problem is now manifesting itself and even becoming an even bigger problem.
We may not be able to do it immediately because of the funding requirements.
The project is under design, and it is being designed so that we can be able to address the problems that are there.
KTN sought the knowledge of the technical team to pose immediate solutions to this stench disturbing Karen Brooks and her environs, and among them,
even if we pre-treat, it doesn't mean that we are going to eliminate the odors that are coming from the waste treatment ponds. And we'll engage the Nairobi Water Company to convert the process that is currently being used, which is called an anaerobic process, and thereby convert the system from anaerobic to aerobic. If this is done, of course, we'll be able to go for the next few years, for the next 2 years, during which we are constructing the trunk sewer into without any stench.
in all this, Nairobi City Council has been put on the spot for issuing licenses to business owners at the current shopping center without dire consideration for the sewer pond's minute design capacity. NEMA's laxity in enforcing the law could be blamed for allowing the issuing of business operating licenses at the current business park, while Athi Water Services Board, mandated with overseeing water and sewage services in Nairobi City, should answer why there is no funding for the expansion of the dam on land offered by Nairobi City Council. And finally, Nairobi City Water Company, an agent of Athi Water Services Board, is to blame for not providing tangible short-term solutions like pre-treatment and expansion if the pond cannot be relocated. If you thought the rich never cry, this sewer did indeed make some cry. For KTN, I am Joy Doreen Bira.
You know, such stories are the reason why I'm very, very passionate about being very careful who you're going to elect as governor and county assembly member for Nairobi County.
Absolutely, and I think not enough attention is being paid to that. But you know what, KTN will be on top of those stories, and we hope to bring you the information that can help you make an informed choice when you go to the ballot in March. Well, it's time for us to take a short break on KTN Sunday night, and just ahead.
When we come back, Case Files is back. Tonight, the kidnapper pays for his sins. Denise Osarigo will be here with more.
The going on strike is legal and will continue until the lawful demands are negotiated and implemented.
Hey, let's watch the game in my place.
Hello?
Hi.
Where are you?
We were supposed to meet up.
Coca-Cola Zero presents the impossible made possible.
Wow. Nice dress you got there. Change your plans, baby.
Great taste, zero sugar. It's possible. Now in Kenya. For over 47 years, we at NSSF have been committed to providing social security to Kenyans from all walks of life. During this time, we have witnessed a whole generation realize the fruits of their labor. As we move on to the next chapter of our history, we are recommitting ourselves to helping you realize your dreams. We are building on our systems and processes to keep up with the changing times. All this with the single purpose of growing you for good. NSSF, growing you for good.
Everything is perfect, except my hair. It breaks. It can't grow. Don't stress. You can reduce breakage.
With new Dark and Lovely Anti-Breakage Oil Moisturizer.
My hair was bad news. Now with 10 times less breakage. Wow, 10! My hair fights back and strong means sleek, beautiful hair. Try it. Your comb won't lie. Look who's back. And look who's got great hair. No wigs are just for fun.
New Anti-Breakage Oil Moisturizer.
We are Dark and Lovely.
Just a quarter cup of jig in the water will get school uniforms whiter, and it is their tough stain fighter that will get your whites much brighter. They are one-on-one uses. Hey, you better go get it.
African Dishes in association with Golden Fry. Deep fried meatballs. Ingredients: 1 kilogram of lean minced meat, 1 onion very finely chopped, 2 cloves garlic crushed, a half a cup of breadcrumbs, a quarter cup of dania leaves finely chopped, 1 egg, salt and pepper to taste, and golden fry oil for frying. Directions: combine all of the ingredients except the golden fry oil into a bowl and mix. Your end product should be firm. Spoon the mixture into your hands, then roll the meat between your palms to form a ball. In a deep frying pan, heat the golden fry oil until hot, then reduce to low heat. Put the meatballs into the hot oil in batches, turning them over for 5 to 6 minutes or until brown and cooked through. Deep frying with hot oil can be dangerous, so make sure you exercise proper caution. Fill your fryer no more than halfway full. Oil will splatter as you submerge food and you don't want to get burnt. Serve as biting with ketchup and chili dip. If you decide to reuse your oil, strain it and store it in an airtight container away from light. Always dispose of oil when it turns dark or begins to smell.
Golden Fry. Fries more, lasts longer.
Are you 100% protected? Studies show that only Dettol Original Soap has 100% more germ-fighting power against illness-causing germs than regular bar soaps, even versus other hygiene bar soaps. Be 100% sure with Dettol.
The Financial Reporting Award seeks to recognize excellence and represents the highest honors in financial reporting for organizations in the East African region. Be part of senior business and corporate leaders for a full-day conference themed Promoting Corporate Excellence in East Africa on the 25th October 2012. Witness the crowning of East Africa's leading corporates in financial reporting, corporate governance and social responsibility during the award gala on the 26th October 2012 at the Safari Park Hotel and Casino. For more information, visit our website. To register for the conference and award gala, email us on bookings@fireaward.org.
Ordinary laundry bars might get the job done, but now there's a way to add sparkle and fun with new Nuru multi-purpose soap, because Nuru does something no other bar can do.
Let the sunshine, let the sunshine.
The white bar with glycerine that's gentle on your skin.
Sunshine,
the blue bar that deals with any stain. The yellow bar with lemon scent that washes pots and pans. The green bar that sends germs down the drain. Only longer-lasting Nuru can make everything shine. Oh, let the sunshine in with Nuru multi-purpose soap.
Welcome back. We're glad you're still with KTN Sunday Night. Let's bring you some breaking news now. We told you a little bit about it earlier that Miranda High School in Nyanza has caught fire. We understand the Boaz Owino dormitory was raised due to what they believe is an electric fault. That fire began at about 8:04. 284 students occupy that particular dormitory. We understand no casualties yet. The students were in class, so no injuries reported. Thank God for that. But nonetheless, the Boaz Owino dormitory at the Miranda High School in Nyanza burnt down at about 8:04 this evening. And we understand that it may have been caused by an electric fault. If there's more on that update, we'll bring it to you as soon as we get it. Let's move on to another fire, and proprietors of the Superfoam company in Rover area are counting their losses after a huge inferno razed down property estimated at 100 million shillings. Firefighters battled for hours to contain the fire, which started at around 3 p.m. 5 workers sustained minor injuries and were rushed to hospital. No fatalities were reported. Although the cause of that inferno is yet to be established, police suspect that a malfunction in one of the machines may have prompted the fire. Firefighters say that thousands of mattresses and polythene bags manufactured by that company fueled the fire, spreading the initial flame from one go-down to another, 3 in that compound.
Now, one of the most important features of any sports utility vehicle is off-road capabilities. And as a driver, being aware that if for any reason you'd want to tread the wild outdoors, you can without a second thought. But it is interesting to see how soft roaders like the Range Rover Evoque would perform under such conditions. Betty Kielo has just returned from South Africa, where she went to test the Evoque's off-road capabilities. She brought us this special edition of Auto World.
So a couple of months ago, I reviewed the Range Rover Evoque and we got to see its on-road capabilities, but we didn't get to see the car off-road. And for that reason, myself and other motoring enthusiasts traveled all the way to Johannesburg, South Africa to take a look at its handling ability of the off-road. Don't think for a minute that the Evoque, because of its styling, is a mere fashion statement or a crossover SUV that is still gentle and vulnerable to handle the aggressive outdoors. It is far more accomplished when the going gets rough. At Kyalami, which is an off-road course designed to bully cars around, I feared for the Evoque. I thought, why would anyone want to make a son do what a father, in this case, the Range Rover, has been doing for years, until I experienced the Range Rover Evoque. Apart from some of the off-road challenges being scary and downright mind-boggling, the Evoque responded incredibly well and was able to tackle everything thrown its way. Take a look at this. It clambered atop steep gradients, smoothed its way around steep slopes, found its way through the sticky situations, and munched away huge boulders that you would want to avoid any day. All this is made possible with an all-wheel drive system, but ultimately, Land Rover's terrain response lets the driver select programs for mud, grass and gravel, tarmac, sand and snow, depending on the driving terrain. Motor specialists Trevor Lamenya and J.M. Baraza experienced the Evoque too, and after a whole lot of pulling stunts, they settled and we discussed the feelings the Evoque evoked in us.
I was so scared, but after some time, I got to trust the car, and I think the Evoque impressed me.
You know, it's reached a point that we can trust technology.
Yeah.
Remember when you're going up the hill,
yeah,
and the instructor said, you know, leave your brakes, take your foot off the brake.
For the hill descent.
For the hill descent,
yeah.
And the car actually held itself.
Performance off-road was not exactly up to standard, let me put it that way. There was a lot of slippage. It uses what we call viscous tips, where when one tire starts slipping, torque is transferred to the tire that is not slipping. So the degree of separation, the degree of slip that is allowed before the other tire starts getting traction was a bit too high.
I could actually see the car in front of me, actually Baraza was driving the car in front of me. I could see the way the car was trying to balance itself.
Yeah.
But you see, these cars are built with at almost equal weight distribution. So if one side is leaning, there's actually a counterweight. So it will actually become a bit stable.
I mean, it was so amazing to see that the son could do what the dad could. Because most of what, of course, the Range Rover is a bigger car, more powerful. But I think it was just spectacular that it could do all those things that were...
It was amazing. The course that we took it through, it's not an easy course.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that this went through it successfully.
You were surprised?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised.
One of the things that can prove to be a setback is the cost. To own one, you will dig deep into your pocket notebook, as it costs about 12 million shillings. However, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. It is pleasant to drive on-road, and after my experience in South Africa, it is agile and handles really well off-road. It definitely sets a high benchmark for luxury compact SUVs. For Autoworld, I'm Betty Callow in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Beautiful, Beauty and the Beast. Betty, we all want your job. Thank you so much for that. Well, guess what makes a return to our screens tonight? It's Case Files. Well, 2009 was a year like no other for families across the country. Cases of kidnappings were on the rise, especially in Nairobi. And in Mombasa, the kidnapping of an 11-year-old boy troubled his parents for 4 days. The people who kidnapped him were later arrested. One of them was actually killed. Tonight, your favorite television crime series Case Files returns with KTN's crime and investigations reporter, Dennis Onsarigo.
It was one episode that left residents of the coastal town of Mombasa worried, a family in despair. A story of a youngster and 5 kidnappers. The state versus Nelly Kiremi, Eva Kirimi, and others. This is Case Files.
Tumemshika mtoto wako na sisi ni katika watu 10 na wengine wetu yani katika ile utisho wa polisi, na tunataka mtupe milioni 10 tumwachilie mtoto wako, na tunakupatia hii siku hii ya leo ndio wewe umeshapata pesa.
Mtu mmoja alimshika akamfunga mdomo na pua yake ili asiweze
The 4th of June 2009 was like any other day for Husna Barak, an 11-year-old child, Jamal Mohammed. The mother had just wished her son a good day. The son walked a few meters to a bus stop to wait for a school van. Minutes later, neighbors rushed home to Husna's house. Some unknown people had kidnapped her son. Confused and concerned, she contacted the police. At first she thought the kidnappers will let go of her son, but for 4 days, Jamal was the unwilling guest of 5 people, 3 women and 2 men. The plan to kidnap young Jamal was hatched by a man the family had come to know as the reliable garbage collector in their estate in Nyali. No one could suspect that Juma Omar Mumba could turn into a dangerous kidnapper, but he did.
So that day alikuja kanok kwa nyumba yangu, akawa na knock, nikamwambia garbage ziko nje. Kawaida huwa tunazitoa pale nje, ndio akikuja saa ile ya huko anachukua tu anaenda anacha ile makaratasi pale. So nikamwambia zile garbage ziko hapo nje, chukua. Akaenda. After 5 minutes tena akarudi. Akanok tena. Nikauliza ni nani? Akasema ni Mumba. Nikamwambia ni nini? Takataka nimekwambia ziko hapo, chukua. Akaniambia ile pesa last month hujanipatia. Akaniambia auntie, uko na mgeni pale nje ya gate.
Nelly claims a man only identified as Rangi approached her for a deal at first she thought was a genuine one, until days later when the man introduced to her by Mumba, the garbage collector, revealed his real intention.
Ati kuna mtoto alikuwa ametafuta na amempata, na ile kitu alikuwa anataka kuniomba ni accommodation. Kama naweza accommodate yule mtoto pale kwangu, alafu akimalizana na wao atatusort.
Nelly claims she had nothing to do with the plan to kidnap the youngster Jamal Mohammed, but Mumba, Rangi and a third man had it all planned out well. On the morning of 4th, 2009, as Jamal stood at the bus stop waiting for a school van, a vehicle pulled over. 2 men jumped out, grabbed him and sandwiched him. Jamal was gone in seconds. Terrified and scared and still sandwiched, the young Jamal watched helplessly as the kidnappers sped off with him in the getaway car. Destination, this house where Nelly stayed with a cousin.
Akaniambia Nelly, ule mtoto ndio huyu. Sasa ule mtoto alikuwa kwa sack. Sasa mimi nikashtuka. Nikamwambia ngoja. I went to the bedroom, Evoque kuja kwa bed. Nikamwambia Kieva, tutafanya nini? Alafu saa hiyo huyo Rangi sasa amepata guts, akatufuata kwa bedroom. Akaniambia ni nini mnapanga? Nikamwambia please. Mimi I'm not just ready for this. Akaniambia sasa tutafanyaje na mtoto yuko ready kwa hao?
To beat the possible police roadblocks and in an effort not to attract public attention, the kidnappers, armed with a pistol and a knife, bundled young Jamal into a sack before ferrying him to their hideout.
Sisi tulishtuliwa na ile kilio cha mtoto na milango kufunga. Sasa tunadhania kwamba ni labda mtoto amegongwa na gari kutokea pale nje kidogo. Tukaona gari ishafika kama mita kama 50 kuelekea 100 kule mbele, huwezi kwa number plate.
By this time, the mother was a worried person. Minutes at a police station in Nyali, she received the first phone call from the kidnappers. They wanted 10 million shillings as ransom fee before releasing Jamal. For 4 days, the men and women will play hide and seek with the police as the mother grew more worried about the state and safety of her son Jamal. The kidnappers will later lower the ransom fee to 2 million shillings as the family of Jamal tried to save their son. A day after Jamal was kidnapped, armed with 2 million shillings and in the company of the police, Jamal's family were directed to a place in Nyali where the kidnappers were to meet them, but they never showed up. 2 more days and the kidnappers were growing anxious and sensing that maybe the mother had notified the police about the kidnapping.
Then also mtoto alikuja, sijui, I don't know nini ilikuwa, ule mtoto alikuwa anataka kuongea na yeye, but I think bahati mbaya tu akamuita jina yake mwenyewe Rangi. So the guy alikasirika sana, na ile ukasirika akasema the only thing yenye nizafanya ni kuchukua mtoto aende amuue, kwa sababu hata akiseviwa ama apatikane kitu chochote, ule mtoto lazima atamtaja jina yake.
Nelly claims getting rid of Jamal was not the plan. The plan was to hold him for a few days as his family looked for money. Nelly says she and Eva hatched the plot to rescue young Jamal, but one the courts could not believe.
Hatukumuonyesha kuwa hatukubaliani na yeye, but mimi na Nelly and there was another guy mwenye walimleta saa later mwenye kuthreaten mtoto, pia yeye ni kama hakukubaliana na hiyo kitu. So we decided the only thing yenye kufanya ni yeye akitoka na ile garbage collector na huyu mwanamume mwingine kwa sasa ametuacha na huyu mwenye alikuwa na threaten mtoto. Tukawa tumepanga, we just get the boy, tumtoe, tumrudishe.
But according to Mombasa Code, that was the day that the group had now finally agreed to pick the ransom fee from near shopping mall.
Mimi nilikuwa nafaa kwenda withdraw pesa pale kwa ATM, ndio gari tuliona iko surrounded. Gari kwa surrounded, tunaangalia watu wanakuja hivi na mabunduki, wanakuja towards us. Alafu wakawa wanasema, walikuwa wanagonga sasa gari, wanasema tutoke.
All the kidnappers were arrested. Rangi, the ringleader of the gang, was allegedly gunned down by the police after shootout. The rescue of the young Jamal hit the headlines that evening. Young Jamal was later to tell the court the ordeal he underwent in the hands of the 5 kidnappers. Jamal told the court, "I left the house at around 7:20 to pick a bus to school when I saw a white car pull over. A short man alighted and ran my direction, grabbed me and forced me into the car. They blindfolded me and covered my mouth with a piece of cloth. They then struggled to place me in a sack. When we arrived in the house, they placed me in a toilet where I stayed the whole day until I fell sick. After 2 years in custody, Nelly Kirimi, Eva Kirimi, Crispus Maingi, Juma Mumba, the garbage collector, and Irene Kalamambura stood trial. 2 of them were set free. Nelly, Eva, and Mumba were sent to jail. In her ruling, Mombasa Chief Magistrate said in part, "This is a serious offense that reads like a movie script. It was one offense that was nearly successful, were it not for the gallant effort of police officers. The accused subjected the young Jamal to untold treatment, transporting him in a sack, and the mother undergoing great mental and physical torture." The 2 cousins and Mumba, the garbage collector, was sentenced to 5 years for each of the 2 counts of the criminal charges. The sentences are running concurrently. When case files visited Jamal Mohammed's family, the mother told us the son is keeping well. She declined to grant us an interview, saying the family wants the dark episode family behind them. Next on Case Files, a story of a man who killed his lover and walked for 5 kilometers with her head in his hands. Denso Zarigo for Case Files.
It's going to be a goal for Kenya and a goal for David Rudisha. David Rudisha is the world 800 meters champion.
Becoming a champion on the track for me started with being a champion on the playground. Play is important for children's healthy development, but while they play, they get exposed to harmful germs.